The desert sun beat down on the white walls of the villa. "Look at this place, isn't it just perfect for us?"
It's beautiful, Ali, but there's something unsettling about it, don't you think?
The Khalifa family, excited for a fresh start, saw only its charm.
Mommy, can I go play in the garden?
Yes, sweetheart, but stay where I can see you.
They didn't see the shadows lurking beneath. The villa was not a home. It was a trap. Days turned into weeks and the Khalifa family settled into their new home.
Ali, have you noticed how things seem to move on their own here?
Whispers seemed to follow them from room to room. Objects moved on their own, disappearing and reappearing in impossible places. Life in the villa became a waking nightmare. "We can't go on like this, Aisha. It's not safe for the children."
I know, Ali, but what can we do? We're stuck here.
Mommy, the cold man spoke to me last night.
This is my domain. Leave now or face my wrath.
One night, a fierce sandstorm raged outside, the wind howling like a banshee. Inside, the villa was plunged into darkness. Then, they heard it. A voice, ancient and filled with rage, echoed through the house. Terror gripped their hearts. They knew then that the stories were true. The villa was haunted, possessed by a powerful entity. They had to escape, but how? The storm raged outside, cutting them off from the outside world. They were trapped, at the mercy of the Jinn. Sleep offered no escape. The next morning, the storm subsided, leaving behind an eerie silence.
The villa is not just haunted, it's a prison, and we are its captives. We have to escape, but how?
The Jinn was powerful, its influence extending beyond the walls of the villa. Fatima, desperate for answers, delved deeper into her research. She discovered that the villa had been built on the site of an ancient temple, a place where people once worshipped fire spirits. Legend had it that a powerful sorcerer had angered the Jinn, who had cursed the land in retaliation. The villa, built on this cursed ground, became a conduit for the Jinn's rage. It fed on their fear, growing stronger with each passing day. Meanwhile, the strange occurrences intensified. Objects flew across the room with no explanation. Whispers taunted them from the shadows. The children, Omar and Yasmin, claimed to see shadowy figures lurking in the corners of their eyes. The Jinn was making its presence known, tightening its grip on their sanity. The family was falling apart, their bond frayed by fear and paranoia. Fear became a constant companion. Ahmed, once a pillar of strength, now jumped at every creak of the floorboards.
Fatima, her face etched with worry, searched for answers in ancient texts, hoping to find a way to break the curse.
One night, as Fatima slept, she was awoken by a cold hand on her shoulder. She sat up with a gasp, her heart pounding in her chest. Standing at the foot of the bed, bathed in an eerie green light, was the figure of a man. He was tall and gaunt, his face hidden in the shadows. His eyes, however, burned like hot coals, piercing her with their intensity. Fatima tried to scream, but no sound escaped her lips. She was paralyzed with fear.
The figure glided towards her, its hand outstretched. Fatima squeezed her eyes shut, bracing herself for the worst. But the touch, when it came, was not what she expected. She opened her eyes to find the figure gone. The room was empty, the only sound the beating of her own heart.
Desperate for answers, Fatima sought out the help of a local sheikh, a wise man known for his knowledge of the supernatural. She told him everything, the whispers, the shadows, the terrifying figure in the night. The sheikh listened patiently, his eyes filled with concern. When she finished, he sighed deeply. "You are dealing with a powerful Jinn," he said, his voice grave, "a being of fire and fury, bound to this land by an ancient curse."
Fatima's heart sank. "Is there anything we can do?" she pleaded. "Is there any way to break the curse?"
The sheikh shook his head slowly. "The Jinn is angry," he explained. "It feels cheated, betrayed. It wants revenge on those who disturbed its resting place." He paused, his gaze piercing her with its intensity. "There may be a way," he continued, "but it is dangerous. The Jinn must be appeased, its anger quelled." The sheikh gave Fatima a small pouch, filled with herbs and incense. "Burn these at the stroke of midnight," he instructed. "It will weaken the Jinn's hold on this place, allowing you to communicate with it. But be warned, child, the Jinn is cunning and deceitful. It will try to trick you, to turn your fear against you. You must be strong, Fatima. The fate of your family depends on it." Fatima returned to the villa. The house felt different now, heavier, as if the air itself were thick with dread. The whispers seemed louder, more insistent, and the shadows danced with a menacing glee. Fear coiled in her stomach, cold and relentless. But Fatima pushed it down. drawing strength from her love for her family. She would not let them be destroyed by this entity.
At the stroke of midnight, Fatima gathered her family in the living room. Ahmed, his face pale and drawn, held their children close. Omar and Yasmin, their eyes wide with a mixture of fear and hope, clung to their parents.
Fatima took a deep breath and lit the incense. The scent, acrid and sweet, filled the air, swirling around them like smoke. The room grew cold and the shadows seemed to press in, hungry and expectant. Suddenly, the flames in the fireplace erupted, shooting towards the ceiling in a fiery blaze. The family gasped, shielding their eyes from the heat and light.
Who dares disturb my slumber? The Jinn had awakened.
"We mean you no harm, great Jinn," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "We only wish to live in peace."
Peace, it roared. You build your home on my sacred ground, disturb my slumber, and speak of peace?
The Jinn's voice, filled with rage and power, echoed through the villa, shaking the very foundation. The family huddled together, their faces pale and drawn in the flickering firelight. The Jinn laughed, a chilling sound that sent shivers down their spines.
This land was cursed, the Jinn continued, its voice dripping with venom, by a sorcerer who sought to steal my power. He failed, and for his transgression, I cursed this land. No one who dwells here will know peace. They will know only fear, despair, and death.
The Jinn's words hung in the air, heavy with menace. The family was trapped, caught in a web of ancient magic and hatred.
"Great Jinn," Fatima said, her voice stronger now. "We understand your anger. We were wrong to disturb your resting place. But we are but a family seeking a home. We offer you a bargain."
Fatima knew they had to escape the villa, but how? The Jinn was too powerful, its hold on the land absolute. She thought of the Sheikh's words, his warning about the Jinn's desire for revenge. Could they use that against it? Could they offer it something in return for their freedom? An idea began to form in her mind, a desperate gamble. The flames in the fireplace flickered, as if the Jinn itself were listening intently.
"Tell us what you desire," she pleaded. "What will it take to appease your anger, to lift this curse? We will do anything, anything at all, to free ourselves from this torment."
The Jinn was silent for a moment, then its voice, low and menacing, echoed through the room.
Very well, it said. Bring me the sorcerer's talisman, the source of his power, and I will release you from this curse.
The Jinn's demand sent a chill down Fatima's spine. The sorcerer's talisman? She had never heard of such a thing. Where would they even begin to look for it? As if sensing her despair, the Jinn's laughter echoed through the villa, cold and mocking.
You have until the next full moon, it said, its voice fading into the shadows. Fail to bring me the talisman and your souls belong to me.
Days turned into sleepless nights as Fatima and Ahmed searched for any information about the sorcerer's talisman. They scoured ancient texts, consulted with historians, and even braved the scorching desert, following rumors of lost ruins and forgotten tombs. But their efforts proved fruitless. The talisman, it seemed, was nothing more than a legend, a cruel trick played by the Jinn to keep them trapped in its web of terror. As the full moon approached, despair settled over the Khalifa family. They were out of time, and the Jinn's deadline loomed over them like a death sentence. The children, their faces pale and gaunt, clung to their parents, their eyes reflecting the terror that consumed them. Fatima and Ahmed, their hearts heavy with dread, could only hold them close, offering what little comfort they could. They had failed. The night of the full moon arrived, casting an eerie glow over the cursed villa. The Jinn's presence was almost tangible now, a suffocating weight that pressed down on them, stealing their breath and their hope. The family huddled together in the living room, their faces illuminated by the pale moonlight streaming through the windows. They knew what was coming. They had accepted their fate. As the clock struck midnight, the temperature plummeted. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows and shaking the very foundation of the villa. The flames in the fireplace erupted one last time, casting dancing shadows on the walls. And then the Jinn appeared, its form coalescing from the smoke and flames, its eyes burning with a malevolent fire. The Jinn's laughter echoed through the villa, cold and triumphant.
You have failed, it boomed, its voice shaking the very walls. Now your souls are mine.
The family screamed, their voices lost in the Jinn's roar. The shadows reached out, enveloping them in a cold, suffocating embrace. And then, silence. The villa stood quiet once more, bathed in the pale moonlight. The Khalifa family was gone, their souls claimed by the Jinn's curse. The villa still stands today, a stark reminder of the Jinn's curse. Locals whisper tales of the family who once lived there, their laughter swallowed by the shadows, their dreams turned to nightmares. They say the Jinn still waits within those walls, its hunger never satisfied, its thirst for revenge never quenched. So be warned, traveler. Think twice before you venture into the unknown, for some doors are meant to remain closed, some secrets better left buried. The desert is a land of whispers and shadows, where ancient evils slumber beneath the burning sand.